Hello everyone, I'm Shuvam Swapnil and today's topic of presentation is Real-Time Custom KML Builder for Liquid Galaxy Flutter Apps. We are pretty much accustomed with making KMLs using Google Earth Pro or typing it by ourselves or even taking some template and changing the coordinates and all to create our KML. But let me tell you something, I have another way, making it inside our Flutter application, just like this. We can take the marker, we can take a polygon and polyline and show it in our Liquid Galaxy server. Bet you'd be imagining why so? How you can achieve this? But trust me, this is very simple. Just we have to tweak a bit of our code to achieve our results possible. It is quite simple. I hope you follow through this to understand what I am doing right here. When we integrate Google Maps, there are a bunch of parameters that show up. As you can see in this image, there are markers, there are polygons, there are polylines, there are circles. So what are all these? This is just a set of points, right? At the end of the day, when I work on this, uh, how to create a marker, how to create a polygon, I will take a set of points and that's what I feed into the Google map in order to get my results. So what I am going to do this is when I am taking a set of markers, I will take each individual marker or I will take each individual polygon or polyline as a state variable. So we can initialize its state, take it as some input right from the beginning, and there you at the bottom. Do you notice a function that has lat long as that parameter known on tap? So what this on tap does, when I show my Google Map on mobile or Android or iOS screen, this on tap function, when I click on it, it gives the return type as a latitude, longitude, or a particular point in that map. So what I am going to do here is assign a variable to this lat long and put it dynamically inside this set of markers, this polygons or polylines, so that we can really go out editing our things. And then after that, after we have our large list of points of polygons that we are making, I can uh, finally take out the string to build my KML. So here, this function really adds or removes using this parameter. And at the time of building the KML, what actually we are doing? We are changing the string. You must have noticed when we initially working on our task, created our location, our polygon, our polylines, how we created this. Let me show you the text file of our KMLs. It is just a set of coordinates that we are at the end of the working with. Uh, Here you can see first one is the document that is in the center is the document that I have created using Google Earth Pro of a single place mark. If we scroll into its body, this particular part is a subset of the point. I am assigning certain coordinates to a point. Similarly, all of these have a same structure, but the difference is here our focus is on a point. In the case of polyline, our focus is on a line string, and in the case of polygon, our focus is on a linear ring. So, do you notice something common in all these? This right? We have our share of coordinate geometry that we have studied in our high school study. So this is what is going to be the basis of how I am creating our very own KML builder application. This is the X comma Y comma Z, in which I will be providing the individual polygon. So there is zero. The Z is really not required in our case because it is going to be zero all the times. As I showed you here, that there is this lat long function the lat long parameter that is being returned. So the longitude is going to serve as my y-axis and the latitude is serving as my x-axis that I am going to insert into this string in order to make it a feasible KML that we can send to our Liquid Galaxy rig. This is the whole structure of KML. I hope all of us are familiar with it. I have changed the styles of I have changed the line style a bit. I have changed here the poly style. I hope you go through this because this is fun playing with changing the colors. I have assigned my colors for the poly line. I have red color for the polygon. I have blue color. I hope you play with the document that I am or the GitHub link that I am going to provide you after understanding what is all there. Now my first question is how to integrate. We have the template which is common for all these share this same template, like mentioning the XML file version, mentioning the document, mentioning its name, its description, its style. Then this is the part that we are going to edit. So why don't we provide a basic framework inside the program only, out of which I will be building the application and then just edit this part. So I have talked about this earlier. There is a latitude, there is a longitude that I will be returning from the onTap function, making the individual variables, claiming this as a string, longitude, comma latitude, comma 0, and then I'll be assigning it dynamically to this part. The template I had already provided as a string in some other class, which in which I will be keeping on adding this as a basic string operation that we have learned earlier in C, C++, or even Java and Flutter. Uh, so quickly, but let's code this. We have a couple of dependencies: Google Maps Flutter, Google Maps Flutter Android, Dart SSH2, shared preferences, and path provider. I hope you take this GitHub repo as a reference, but I would suggest to make it yourself because it is quite interesting how you learn about the basics of Flutter. And even on the same path, you will see how it is integrated in some Liquid Galaxy applications like Super Liquid Galaxy Controller and Reforestation Assistant. So let's start. First, yes, so I have Google Map integration that I will be doing right now. This is what my outline is going to look like. I have this drop down menu provided so that I can edit it between whether I am going to insert a marker, a polygon, or a polyline. And this is what our map is going to look like. So I will not go into details of it. Let me quickly go through it. Our first step is to go into Google Cloud API console, which I hope almost all of you must have. We have this honeycomb like looking logo. I'll click on this, add a new project. You can do it yourself. My quota is exceeded, so I can't show it to you right now. Uh, so I have created my first project as this. Then uh, going to the home screen, there are certain buttons named Quick Access. In Quick Access named API and Services IAM and Admin. We are going to take the Google Map API, right? So I'll go to APIs and Services. Then this plus button, Enable APIs and Services. Uh, we are doing it for both Android and iOS. That is completely optional for demo purposes. I am doing it only for Android. Uh, click on Maps SDK of Android, enable. Okay. Here you do not have to enter anything. It we have to we can get our API for free. There is no need of clicking on any credit card or something. I'll just click the back button. Then for the second time, when I go back, okay, again I'll open my API Google API console. Then for my first project, enabled APIs and services. Now that you can see it has been enabled successfully, we can now go for managing it or something. Again, a bit of back button pressing exercise. When I go back to my APIs, so you can right now, okay, so I can now create a credential, creating an API key. So I have created my API key here, which I will be which I will not currently copy because I have do not share one important information. Do not share your API key or any sort of credentials. This is for the demonstration purpose. I will be going to delete this after I create. So I have already this API that I will be using here in my other project. I'll showing right now for demonstration purposes.
To paste your API, you need to go to two places, namely Android manifest that is available under this directory Android. Then I'll go to app, then src main, and then Android manifest. There is this section which will look something like this. You have to add another metadata, something I will add metadata. I will add metadata. Make sure you are writing this just before the slash application part, so that it will be called right here. I have already written what I am written there. uh, this is my Android Geo API key, and here in this value you have to paste the string that I had generated in my credentials. So there was this API key that I deleted. You have to copy that and then paste it here. Same drill you will go to for the iOS supporters. There is this file iOS under this runner, and then app delegate.swift. We have to create this string named gms services dot provide API key, and here will be your API. Again, paste it in the same fashion. uh, Before running the project, let me run the pubspec camel real fast. Okay, now we can continue to our project.
Okay, back to my application. This the first step after I have created. Okay, let me uncomment this part. I will explain why I have commented this. Mm, this is the widget on which my Google Map will lie. This whole thing will be under the expanded widget with the stack, because I have stacked this drop down menu on the top with the three options: marker, polygon, and polyline. And then I have uncommented this also. Make sure to initialize the Google Map for Flutter. This is quite important because in the latest version, if you read in the pubdev packages, in the recent versions, they have deprecated the use of Google Maps, due to which I have this I have to initialize this using the additional package named Google Maps Flutter platform for Android. After doing this, our map will appear quite right here. But right now we have not worked on our the map is created. It is fit and fine showing it. But now we have to work on the main thing, that is creating the state that I have talked earlier, creating the state variables and handling their logic. There are three things that we are going to show here: the markers, the polygon, and the polyline. Uh, in Google Maps, it shares a set of markers. So I will be providing one element to all right now because we need not need for demonstration purposes. You can do it later, providing multiple markers. We'll be creating multiple polygons. We can really do that, but it is completely optional right now. I'll be going to the code and uncommenting these three functions: on tap polyline, on tap polygon, and on tap marker. Here I have created default instances of each of the vertex I have instantiated a default marker without any implication on this map, a default polygon, an empty polygon, and an empty polyline. uh, but using these functions, these three function, what I will do is, on tap function, I will remove the previous marker that I have already set. In case in the first case, I will be using the default marker which is already added. Then I will be added my new one. Let me show that right quick here. Before that, I also have to uncomment my uh, okay, I have uncommented this already, so it is not going to be an issue. I have on tap marker. So let me explain to you. The previous marker has been assigned to the current marker variable because we are going to dynamically, if you have worked on data structures and algorithms that swapping to variables, so this does the similar function to that. I will be like it is like some queue removal or stack removal thing. I will be clicking on this. It creates a marker, but when I have to change my marker, this function is going to work on what I am writing. Okay, so we have removed the marker and then created the new lat long location. And but for the polygon thing, it is quite different. And the polyline also will follow the same logic. Let me change my uh, variable or the drop down menu to polygon so that we're working on the polygon and polyline. Polygon and polyline share the same logic. When I click on one latitude and longitude, what here it did is it removed one point, it added to another point. But in this case, what it is going to do is, uh, here it is going to add this latitude and longitude, add this return type to my uh, polygon that I am creating. Now I will that I have created the polygon. I will click on this two times. It is showing nothing because two sides do not make up a polygon. So I have to click it another time. Yes. Now you can see this logic is important. Here also I have provided the condition at Google Map that polygon only show up if the length of the vertices is greater than 2. Otherwise it will not show up or crash. It is important to keep it like this in order to completely show our polygon. You can see I'm dynamically handling my polygon. The same for polyline, but polyline does not need this condition because I can create a line of 2 points, right? So there is no point of handling this logic here. Now that I have created my polygons, okay, so this is now okay. I am handling the drop down thing, the polygon. I have created this. Now it's our job to clear the map also. We have to do a cleaning job for which I have two buttons at the top. I click on this. All the all the data that we have worked on is cleared. What is the logic? I have set the state to clearing everything here, even the name and description. I have added these dialogues as an optional parameter that we can provide to our KML so that in case we are showing it on LG rig, it might show up as a bubble, the description of this. Because I will add name to this named, I will Libya. We are currently in Africa, right? I'll provide some description. Desert. Provide this description. click on this, the description appears to be desert. So this is also part of the polygon set that I am working. If you see in its state, I have initialized the polygon as the point having the vertices, the set that I'm working on with. I have provided some custom fill color and stroke color. Not right now, that is of work. And the description of our marker is going to be our here the info window will have here there is another parameter in the marker thing called there are certain custom things like color, the logo or the icon that it is showing up. We can show another type of icon if we want. The description here, which I will be handling using this text box. uh, so this is right now we have made the making part and even the deleting part. Now there are two more buttons below this. What are these working on with actually? So we are at the end of the day to send to LG rig we need to generate KML strings, right? So how to do this? If we observe the structure of a basic KML string, we have the name, the description, and the content. The content is where we show up our coordinates that I have demonstrated before when I showed up the text edit files. So what I am going to do is modifying the content part. Now I will show you another window named utils where we are actually working on with our uh, KMLs. What I did is here the logic is pretty simple. I took the input as lat long. In the case of marker, the marker will simply the same template I copied. The only portion I changed here is the coordinates. This part here I took the marker as the parameter which I will be passing to save the string. The marker's position, longitude, and latitude. But in the case of polygon, we need to assign individual elements. If you see the text structure here, you will see that when a polygon or polyline is created, a lot of XYZ strings are created with a gap. So we need to add them individually in order to get the desired polygon that we are creating. So there is this two vertices KML where I take the inputs as this list of latitudes and longitudes of vertices, adding each string as longitude comma latitude comma 0 with a space and and finally creating the polygon or polyline within this coordinates template. These are the objects that I have created to access the KML, and all I have provided all the basic things that we are working on with our KML entity or the lookat entity in which we are going to access our rig. So we are done with creating the KML strings. Now it is drum roll. We will be finally executing our real functions. I go to Android Studio. I now go back to the main screen. Okay, I forgot that thing. Yes, I have this setting screen right now. You have to connect to the LG rig to work with all this, right? So make sure to do that yourself because many of us have already done this thing. So I'm not going to talk about that. Again, going to the bottom, I have two buttons named send to LG and send KML. Now first I will be saving it as a local file. My first task is to uncomment this and uncomment this. I have created the KML string and I fetched that using my function name create KML. Let me uncomment that too. I have called my utility class as an object, accessed each of its element as a marker for the marker, create marker function for marker, create polygon for the vertices, and create polyline for the path. We need not add any parameters here because already the state variables are hanging around universally on the top here, right here. So we need not worry about this. Simply pass the KML. The KML is created. I call my get applications document directory, which I created using the path provider, and save this as a KML file. When I click save as KML, it will show where this file has been saved. And here you need to add this also. If the name is empty, empty file will not be saved. The app might face trouble. So make sure to add this condition to show that name cannot be empty and the KML file will be saved.
Now, heading over to our next segment, this is the prime part that we are all here for, sending this to our Liquid Galaxy panoramic rig. Now, I will show you in real time how to create marker or a polygon. Let's take something fancy like a polygon that I will be building right around here, uh, around Sri Lanka, looking like this. So I will change the name to SL and island. I'll create some description called island. Now that I have created, let me explain you the logic first. I will go to this buttons logic first on tab function. Let me uncomment it real fast. Uh, okay. Okay. So what we are doing here is I am taking each case and creating a look at object for each of these. You can edit it according to your convenience, but what I have done is taken a bunch of default parameters that might be maybe good or not good, but I have taken them just for the demonstration purpose. We have the look at object, which has the longitude, latitude, altitude, range, tilt, and heading, which we have done. We have showed it in our we have previously, while creating a KML, we have already shown this. So I will be exploiting it using our very own KML entity to change its content, provide the name and the description as I have provided here in this very text box, taking its controller text. So as I go scroll back to tweaks, I scroll back to my main screen. I have created three cases, namely marker, polygon, and polyline. I have created a look at object for each of these, giving their own altitude, tilt, and everything. But our main focus is on the longitude and latitude we have provided. In the case of marker, so when we are calling a KML, we also need our KML to show to our rig to go to that position, right? So we need to provide the accurate longitude and latitude. In the case of marker, it is pretty easy that this is the same as the logic that I had used in utils, like marker that position, that longitude and latitude. This I have created the same longitude and latitude, but in the case of polygons and polylines, I have handled this case. If this is not empty, I will create the centroid of these vertices. This is another function, centroid, as we must have known from the same vector and 3D from coordinate geometry that we have studied a lot. I will be taking all the list of the latitudes and longitudes, calculating the center length and returning the value as another latitude and longitude, whose position I will be using as my look at variable. I scroll down here. Again, I get provide the longitude and latitude of this centroid. Then same some default parameters of altitude and all. And finally, our SSH function of send KML. The send KML of the KML. So here I have created the KML. I have used the same function as I used before. I returned the KML body that we have used, and now going to our SSH function. Let me take you to a quick look of our SSH file so that you are not confused with what you have created before. So I have changed it a bit because in my KML I have included the name and description too. The look at will be the same as in there. In my SSH file, here the send KML function, I have opened the SFTP file. I have created the KML entity taking the parameters that the KML content, because in my utils function I am only creating the body, I am not creating the whole KML. I am only creating the what will be inside this basic framework, like inside this document. What I am only creating the content part in my utils, this dollar content that I will be creating here. So I have put all these styles, then my coordinates, and finally in the SSH I'll be creating the KML object whose body, again the body thing, the body will be created like this with this skeleton. You will be encoding this into our SFTP file, and then we'll be executing both our functions by sending the KML and uh, creating our fly2 object. Finally, we will get our result to our rig that we have there.
Now it's our time to currently show the demonstration how I will show this thing. I demonstrate this on LG rig. I have opened my VirtualBox rig and my application. I had to change device because I do not have the rig in my other device. So okay, I have to click on wait. Don't worry about this. This is an issue from my emulator, so this is not really going to affect our performance. I have created this polygon that you can have a look at. I have already shown you. Read it again, and I will click send to LG route. Now it moves to the centroid. Okay, it zoomed a bit too close because I showed you that lookat entity which had very low parameters. I will quickly zoom out and show you what our results are. Uh, as you can see here, this tiny blue lines, I am not really able to show this. Yes, this is my edge and this is the polygon exactly that I had created in my application. This the points resemble the same thing that I have replicated in my rig. Focusing to the center, I would suggest to create a higher altitude when you are trying it out yourself.
Now that we are done with the presentation, I would like to apprise you to go through the code, customize it yourself, try it out. I have that option named circles which I have really not shown. You can do it yourself using the same logic that I have provided here, making a set of markers, making a custom maybe a list of elements. It is all about latitudes and longitudes and strings, right? We just tweaked it. We created our KML element. We sent it to LG. We saved it locally in our mobile phone or web browser, that whatever we'll be working on with. So it's as simple as that. It might sound a bit fancy in the beginning, but as we went through, we saw how smooth, how basic it is, just like the when we were taught the basic C or C++ programming in the initial years of our college. So make sure to try it out yourself, and that's it from my side. Thank you very much.